Let's start with Salesforce. Is that cool? I love it. The CRM ticker. So Salesforce, came in yesterday, finished not only their fourth quarter, but also their year. And the company saw a dip that's become a little bit of the trend in tech right now after reporting really solid earnings. Fell 4% after hours, but just as a short, the company had a really strong beat on both top and bottom lines. $1.04 earnings against 75 cents, 5.82 billion against 5.68, 20% growth for this quarter, 24% growth for the year. Overall, really good. When I talk about Salesforce, I say this is really the bellwether for cloud and SaaS. So if you're wondering how is cloud and SaaS doing, it's really safe to look at Salesforce, although the diversification play has gotten bigger. So if you look at the company, they actually they have a really nice deck that they put out after earnings, and they talk about their disaggregation of revenue. And that's essentially, where does the revenue come from? So most people know CRM, know from the Salesforce administration standpoint. Well, that's no longer the biggest part of the company's business. In fact, the biggest part of the company's business now is their platform. So we've seen them move from pure SaaS to PaaS. And you and I have both at times challenged that, because the company at its core was always pure SaaS, pure software. We love software. And now it's slowly migrating and creating that hybrid story.
That's right.
You got Hyperforce. They're starting to say, hey, you can put Salesforce in your cloud. You saw the acquisition of Tableau. That was a very prem-based business intelligence and analytics stack that now is being integrated. MuleSoft, bringing the company's AI capabilities forward. So that's become the biggest part of the business. But essentially, it breaks into four buckets: sales, service, platforms, and then their marketing cloud. All of them grew. Sales grew slow. Platform and marketing grew fast. And I'll kind of leave my take on this, but platform's growing because hybrid's growing. And as hybrid grows, as the need for AI and connectivity to other software parts of the MarTech and the business productivity stack, you're going to see more investment in platform. Marketing grew more than sales because, with COVID and the shutdowns, of course, you had to see companies turning from more of a direct selling motion to more of a digital and marketing motion, omni-channel motion, and that's where the marketing and commerce cloud really come into play. One other observation, and that I thought was really interesting, Pat, was the company's diversifying its global presence. Its growth was slowest in Americas and fastest abroad. So it saw 24% year over year in EMEA and 27% in Asia. So still much smaller, only about a third of the revenue come out of global businesses. But the growth there is impressive, saying Salesforce has gone from being kind of a company that was really America's, North America, US, SaaS, to really having that big global presence. And then the last observation, Benioff set out a goal of something like $35 billion by 2024. Big, hairy, audacious goal for the company that's just coming in the 20s now. The categories they're in, they estimate are of about 181 billion in addressable market between now and 2024, but the categories are only growing 11%. My calculations say they're going to need to continue this 20+% growth rate across all their main segments in order to achieve that $35 billion goal in the next 3 years. So that's going to be a really aggressive goal. You got companies, you got Oracle, you got Microsoft, you got SAP, you got some very strong players. And then of course, rising stars in areas like CDP, ServiceNow, all coming into this space, trying to compete for that same buck. So going to force a lot of aggression. I hogged that whole segment, Pat, but I'm sure you can at least round me out.
Yeah, if I can fill in some gaps, I find it just incredibly ironic that Salesforce, the company that founded Salesforce Automation, SaaS, their sales part was only up 11%. And there's two ways to look at that, right? One way is, hey, genius expansion and successful expansion, right? The other thing is that their core business is, I wouldn't say floundering, but dramatically slowing. I mean, that's higher than VMware numbers. But then again, the multiple on a Salesforce versus a VMware is incredibly different. I am very interested to see in how they pull off the hybrid, because it's one thing to run Salesforce in somebody else's cloud. How about running all of their services in the private cloud? what if I'm a regulated industry and it's going to take me, I mean, are they going to wait for 10 or 15 years? I see a lot of regulated industries being, really only picking hybrid type of offerings that can be run in the big public cloud, but also on their own private cloud on-prem. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be watching. The final thing is Slack. Okay, is how is this going to do in a world where Microsoft is dominating the big time enterprises, and along with that, will we see Salesforce adopt some sort of video solution as opposed to partnering with somebody like Zoom, like they do today?
Yeah, it's a great way to wrap it up. It was amazing. In my research note, I did touch on the Slack thing. The update is effectively going to close somewhere around the middle of the year, Pat. That's a big one. And, talk about something where 27 billion was spent. We've been asking the question from day one, how is the company going to return that to shareholders through inorganic and organic growth, as the, Slack business needs to even push to $1 billion in revenue. But I do see the innovation that's going on there. I do expect Mark Benioff will come up with some very creative ways to make that Slack acquisition pay off.